Hello, everyone. So good to be with you here today, always. And I was thinking today about discomfort and about not only about discomfort, but also about disappointment. And that is Saffron. Hi, Saffron. She's talking. She's talking. She is something wonderful in my life. Saffron, you want to come over? Say hello. She's saying hello from there. And I wrote something about this. I wrote something about discomfort, and I wrote it in 2016. It was interesting. I was thinking about this, and I thought, I just want to see. I think I remember writing something, and so I would like to read this. And I always like to start with asking permission or asking a prayer. And my great grandfather Eduardo is from Mexico, and one of the things that we know in the Mexican traditions and in the Mexica traditions is that we always want to ask permission before we do things. And so, one of the things that I always like to do is I ask permission of the spirits of land and place. I ask that the spirits of land and place are with us, and that this makes them happy, and that this does good things in the world. And I ask Great Mystery also for the protection and the well-being of our loved ones who live in this place at this time. And I ask for the recognition that we are all here together, and we're all in this together, and that this is the good work of being here, the hard work, the beautiful work of being here together. May we be guided, protected, and held. Thank you. Aho. Amen. So I was thinking about discomfort, and so I printed it. I printed this out, and it's kind of like a poem, but I think that Saffron can read it to you. No. I know it. So discomfort. Under no circumstances do we want to be uncomfortable. We want to have it all the comforts of life, happy people around us, and a life where there are no conflicts or complications. I have never seen a birth, a life, or even a death that is not in some way to someone uncomfortable. There are so many precarious moments when we could have stayed closer, let go of what my beloved twin Raven speaker calls our long cherished opinions. I want to feel the true pulse of the world, not neglected if it doesn't go my way, not charmed if everything does. Life is made up of successes and failures, disappointments and amazing transformations, and it really is about how we respond. Do we respond as an adult who can continue the conversation, or as a 4-year-old who has a tantrum by pouting, crying, punishing, yelling, silent treatment? All of this can be avoided if we will come in with a thought. Everyone here has a right to have their needs met. We sometimes think we are the only person in the world, when really our actions and words impact others. We are all a part of the larger picture. We are all a part of this intricate weaving of our communities, our families, our lives. What would shift if I sought to give comfort instead of receiving it or protecting my own? What would happen if I would risk the breaking open, a new way of seeing things, a conversation I've never had before, or a perspective that could emerge from a conversation of love and truth? There is nothing that comes into or leaves this world without doing something new, and some modicum of discomfort is worth it to move into another world, always unknown, always calling us to our greater selves. If we spend a lifetime in our comfort zone, we may find ourselves alone, holding our long cherished opinions without a soul we love to cause us discomfort, without a soul we love to cause us discomfort. And so I think that, I think about comfort and what comfort means to me, and I think about discomfort, and And I was also thinking about, where I get uncomfortable most often. I don't know if you guys find this for yourselves, but where I get most uncomfortable is when, or the most discomfort is sometimes where I have some disappointment or I'm not feeling like, um, I'm feeling like things aren't kind of going the way that I think they should. I've also found that rarely do things go the way that I think that they should, and that's usually better than what I have in mind. So I think that there are some really powerful ways that we can overcome those disappointments. And I don't know about overcome, but acknowledge them, recognize them, spend a little bit of time with them. But the way to work through them and to get to the other side is to connect, and also to have a little bit of faith and a little bit of trust in the process of life, and to have some faith in ourselves and in our loved ones. I appreciate what Wendell Berry says. He says that geese appear high over us, pass, and the sky closes. Abandon, as in love or sleep, holds them to their way, clear in the ancient faith that what we need is here, that what we need is here. And that's from Wendell Berry, and it's called Geese. And I think that one of the ways that we can really come into our faith and come into our trust is to recognize that all of those experiences that we have in our entire lives are really there to transform us, and that life is here to transform us. And I can tell you right now, I'm being transformed in so many different ways. But if we're being transformed, if we're going to allow ourselves to be transformed, if we're going to surrender to that transformation, what does that mean? It's such a sacred encounter to think about, oh, how am I being transformed? In what ways am I being called to transform? And so I always like to think that we can transform ourselves and that we can heal ourselves, but we also need the help of others. We can't do these things by ourselves and all by ourselves and alone. We really do need the help and the connection of our loved ones to do that. And so it was really interesting. I was thinking about healing, and I was thinking about, what is it that really does heal disappointment and discomfort. How can we move through our discomfort and through our disappointments? How do we get to the other side of them and have a different experience? And one of the things I was thinking about as I was thinking about this is really interesting. My best friend texted me this poem that she wrote. And I mean, all the way in Florida, and she texted me this poem. And I was just like, oh, Roshi. My best friend's name is Roshi, and this is by Roshi Paquin. And I said, Roshi, can I read that tonight in my talk my love note that I send my students? And this is called Love Note. And I just was like, oh my gosh, this is so great. And so Love Note. This is from my best friend, Roshi. She's in Florida, and she texted this to me as I was thinking about how do we move through some of these things and get to the other side so that we can get to our trust and to our faith. And so she wrote this love note. This day began with a daybreak that opened up and light poured between the cracks of the trees, and lasted with great endurance and tenacity all day long, until naturally the world turned and pulled the light somewhere else, until we, now closing this brilliant existence, soften and surrender to the falling night. The moon rising, boisterous and exciting, calling the small owl to her wide open fields of mice and rabbits. Bowing to this great exemplary of just one more day as if it were the last. I headed outside, barefoot, and folded my hands quietly on the earth. Thank you for one more day. Thank you for one more day. That is by my precious Anamkara, my very best friend, Roshi Paquin. And she wrote this love note this evening as I was thinking about, oh, well, how do we overcome disappointment? How do we overcome discomfort? And one of the places that I find comfort is in poetry and in my very closest friends, in my beloved, in and all of my loves. And so my curiosity would be, what are your loves? What are your loves? And how can we act from that place of recognizing, acknowledging, and appreciating our loves? And how do we transform ourselves in this time? And I believe we transform ourselves by really being able to be with ourselves and to to address and to process what we're feeling, all of our feelings, our pain, our joy, our sorrows, but to address and to process our feelings, all of them, so that we really can heal and that we can be seen and that we can see and have an experience. So I have this quote to close with from David Richo, and it says, if it says you, but it really means all of us. At least I think so, if you acted, or if I acted in faith and trust, I like to begin it with. So if I acted in faith and trust, but he begins it, if you acted with the highest level of consciousness and spirituality, how would your life be different? So I just thought it'd be kind of fun for us to think about that, to think about, oh, well, what if I acted in the highest level of consciousness and spirituality? How would my life be different? Or we can say it also, another way to say that is, what if I acted in faith and in trust? And these are some affirmations from David Richo, and he wrote the book How to Be an Adult, How to Be an Adult in a Relationship, and many other really wonderful books. A couple of them are textbooks that I use in my courses. But affirmations are, I dissolve the boundaries I have set on my potential specifically. I allow myself to see the expanse of my untapped potential, especially. Where I was contracting, I expand. Where I was isolating, I connect. I'm happy about my gifts, all the gifts that I have, and how they fit me so perfectly. And I consecrate my gifts to the benefit of all humankind. And I consecrate my gifts to the benefit of all humankind. Thank you so much. And I will see you very soon. I'll see you next week.